Well, I have been mentoring since 2013, mainly the internationally trained professionals. With my recent mentee, first, when we meet, we had just get to know each other. And first, I had a couple of questions for him, and to explain me what he did before and what does he want to do in his life. I just want to make sure that he figured out what his career looks like. Here, I know he told me that he had over 18 years of experience, but as a newcomer here, when you are you sometimes when you don't get job, so you want to grab whatever comes, and so sometimes you don't have focus on your. So I wanted to know whether he has really he figured out what he wanted to be or what he wanted to do. So we talked, and fortunately he has good idea what he wanted to do in his life in terms of his career. So, but after I explained what I did and how, because I'm also a newcomer and I'm internationally trained professional, I have gone through what he's going through. So I try to help him to identify his gaps in terms of skills, and I asked him to inventory his skill sets and what he has in mind what he wanted to be and what skills required for that positions and what skills he is going to provide to that position, and also what gaps he has. I try to help him to identify his skill gaps, and that helped him a lot. I try to get some sample drawings, sample reports, which could expose him to the reports and drawings what we have here in Canada. So he was able to see. Then I showed him, and then and those drawings could be easily downloaded from internet. He was able to go through those reports, and then he saw how, for example, stormwater management reports is compiled for subdivisions, and drawings for subdivisions for servicings like stormwater management facilities and all that. He was able to get those informations, and he after he went through that, and he had an interview, and in the interview he was asked to explain about drawings. That was a coincidence. So he was able to explain easily without any problem, and then he was able to get the job.
Oh, that's fantastic. How frequently would you say you were in contact with your mentee, and how did you communicate?
Okay. When we met first, the first 1.5 months, we met in person.
Okay.
Every 2 weeks. And every other, for 1 to 1.5 hours. So for every other week, what we did, we communicated through email and through phone. After 1.5 months, and then our communication was through internet and phone, through email and phone. So, but the first one, until we until we get the informations and what he needs to do and so the first few weeks we met in person. So our communication was through internet, through email and phone.
Okay,
generally.
Great. And so, were there other ways that you saw your mentee benefiting from the mentoring that you were providing?
Well, The other benefit, for example, a modeling exercise, he has modeling exercise in some aspects of water resource management, but in some aspects he didn't. So I was able to show him that he has to, there were some open source softwares models where he can download and then practice on his free time. The experience he got through practicing those models, that gave him confidence. And not only that, when he I went through his resume and I tried to show him how he could customize his resume. And because nowadays employers, that when they get resume, they wanted to see whether those skill sets are the required skill sets are available, shown in the resume.
Yeah.
So people could have many experience, but we can't show all those experience, only related experience. So we were able to discuss on that, how he could show his experience related to the job which was posted.
Good. And what was the experience like for you as his mentor?
As I've mentioned, I am also a newcomer and international trained professional, and it was hard for me first to get a job. Then I know how people are going through in searching job, and so I felt that I have something to offer to those people who are in the same shoes. So I wanted to give back that, and so that they to make their life easy. So when I see people helped through my mentoring, I get satisfaction, I get joy. So, and also interacting with different people with different backgrounds and cultural and ethnical backgrounds, that it added to my communication skills and understanding with other people. So first I got satisfaction, and also the experience of it added to my coaching and leadership skills. Leadership is, it's not giving orders, but it is showing, being as a role model. So I try to show what I have experienced, and and people were when I told my real life story, that authentic witnesses, and it just convinced them and then to follow what I told them. So that I saw that people were just, not because I told them, but because I showed them what I did, and so they were able to follow that.
So what would you say to somebody who is considering becoming a mentor?
Well, first of all, everybody wants to feel positive, everybody wants to contribute, but some people, they might not think that they contribute to others, but if they contribute, that sense of satisfactions, what they get, and the values, what the feelings they have, that positive feelings, is great, and I encourage. And not only that, the experience through their leadership and skill will grow. So I encourage people who have really, they might not consider what the contribution they could make in other people's life. So I encourage people to get involved in mentoring, because they have a lot to share to others.
So for all the newcomer engineers who are still outside of Canada and plan to arrive soon, what would be your one sentence advice?
The first thing which I would like to advise first people needs to know that they have to, when they think of coming to Canada or here in Canada, those who are in Canada, first they need to figure out what they want to be. And without thinking the constraints, assuming the constraints are not there, what do I want to be? And then what's my ideal career? What's my, what I want to be? And then what can I offer to that? Is there any skill set which I can offer to that? What's my skill gaps? And then that would help people to focus and put their resources, time, and effort to get rid of those gaps, and then be a person they want to be. So get focused and figure out, because sometimes people, they only see the constraints. But if you see with the constraints, you can't go, because there are lots of things surrounding. So we have to think without the constraints. And then the constraints will come. Okay, through that the constraints, how could I fulfill my dream or my goal? That's what I advise. And also take responsible. It is us who decide to come to Canada. So I have to take my life, it's my responsibility to, it's good to get helps from others, but ultimately it's my responsibility to make decisions where I want to be, how I want to go there.